Hi there, welcome to breaking news within the Noah Presgrove case. One of the partygoers known as Kaden Pressy. There's been some shocking developments there in regard to activity levels online. Supposedly, Kaden Pressy has done a bit of a disappearing act from certain Facebook pages, if not all as a whole. Today, I want to present to you a particular post which has come about in regard to Elisha Lee and Kathy Bingham with more extended, never seen before CCTV footage to the eyes of the majority of the general public. I'm going to play the video to you because there seems to have been some heavy backlash there and possible misunderstandings in regard to tying back to Elisha and partially Kaden in a very negative light. And it's making me wonder if that's the reason for why Kaden has gone quiet all of a sudden. Take in mind, with recent events with Kaden's phone data analysis, how the cracks were breaking through there, where Elisha says one thing, Kaden says another, just recently. Elisha in the past, Partners in True Crime Part 2 interviews stating that Kaden's phone was eventually taken in by police, analysed, and it reinforces with the hard evidence that Kaden's timeline of 5:15 is correct, but Kaden in recent time publicly stating that the police never took his phone in, never wanted it, so it's never been analysed. But Kaden in recent time was willing to get it analysed or get a report back from the provider, the brand known as Apple. But what's happened there? Because some days ago now when he announced that's what he was going to do, and now all of a sudden he's disappeared, you could tie that together. Whether that be pressured into doing something he doesn't really want to do, or something his mother Elisha isn't too pleased of, maybe it didn't work, or as what people expected, it backfired, and then it's led to a disappearance act. There's different possibilities, but today we're focusing more in on the post by Michael Fazkaz, the CCTV footage of the Pressy household, patio area outside, and in regard to the context of it, we've seen very small clips of it in the past. As for the full length, supposedly Kathy was there for about 2 hours long, so 2 hours worth of footage, but we don't have it all. All we have is a small, maybe 30-second clip or so, and now the more recent one, which has been posted, of about 2 minutes. So I'll play that to you in just a second, so don't go anywhere, and feel free to listen in. Then we'll analyse it just a little bit, and then add on with some extra details too. I'll also show you the original video clip, another portion of that same event, of what else was shown, compare, contrast, then possibly check the comments out on Facebook in regard to what people have said. There's been a bit of war of words and counterpoints and a bit of conflict going on. There is a particular conversation by Elisha in recent time which has come about, never seen before text message. So I'll be sharing that with you as well. There's a handful of stuff to get through. Try my best to put it all into perspective, and for those that are watching the live premiere as it's all going down for this breaking news, welcome. Share your reactions, live thoughts in the chat located on the right hand side of the screen. And if you want to leave your after thoughts, got any additional questions, or you're watching on catch up, be sure to drop your comments down below under the video. It will help with spreading awareness so then YouTube can push it out there. More people see the video, more people learn of the shocking developments and possible truths coming out, which unfortunately highlight Kaden, or more so Elisha, in a negative light, and a turn of positions when it comes to the likes of Kathy Bingham, who obviously has been criticised, critiqued, and even I've done that as well with the context that I had at the time. How much does it differ now? With that being said, if you are interested in previous videos like that and more research, you'll be able to find that top right corner of the screen where the I symbol is up there. Full playlist on the Noah Presgrove case presented by me. If you want to support my channel, down below in the comment section, there'll be a pinned message by myself with a PayPal link. Big shout out to those that have supported the channel in recent time and those in the background. Without further ado, let's begin the video.
That's why, and that's why I showed you my badge and my license, that way you knew who I was, so, anyway, but I had text messages where I've been trying to tell that stuff, and he's like, "Worship you all." Yes. So crazy. and he'll say, and then not only me, but he's told other people, quit sending me stuff I already have. Well, if you would talk to us, then, yeah, right? So, but yeah, so I'm just, you know.
So there's a video of them taking those short off of them. Is that what you're saying?
There's a,
Because there's supposedly a video of them, that the service truck driver, whoever was out there telling Kaden and them to leave.
yeah,
That somebody was recording it. Or it was being recorded. I don't know if somebody was recording it or if it was a vehicle recording it, but there's supposedly a video out there which collaborates, whatever you say, Kaden's account of what happened. Because after Kaden was told to leave, that's when they did their little crime scene deal. Can I see it? Is my kid in it?
no, it's not your kid, no. But there's a guy right there in some kind of uniform. I'm trying to figure it out.
Does he have a high vest, a high whatever you call on?
No, it looks like it's just a dark,
Is there audio?
no.
There's no audio.
So that was kind of interesting. I'll admit the audio quality was pretty poor, but that's just how it was. I couldn't quite understand what Kathy was getting at for the early part of the video clip, the CCTV. But Elisha, the way she was talking was rather interesting. That got to take in mind the context of the whole CCTV has not been shown public. If it was all released in one go, it might make a little bit more sense. That's all I'm saying. I like to look at the whole thing from start to finish, make notes, but that's not possible at this time. In regard to how it contrasts to the other short clip, I'm not too sure what order it occurred in first, which I'll show the short clip in just a second, because it appears that Kathy Bingham has different forms of media on her phone, maybe more so photos or screenshots. So when Kathy says, I never showed Kaden this or that of a video, I've never had videos, I've never shared videos, along the lines of that, there could be truth within it. What I will say is, depending on the order of how the CCTV footage goes, the way Elisha was describing it in that particular CCTV footage, it's just weird. The positions. Elisha is doing the talking, passionate, describing it visually in regard to what we've heard Kaden talk about in the private police interview when it comes to the tampering of Noah's black shorts at the highway, which supposedly occurred after 5:30 in the morning, but before 5:43, because that's when the first call was made by a truck driver who noticed it was quiet, no one about. Kind of a short time frame window to acknowledge. And whilst Kaden had acknowledged it in his interview, the police one, and the police guys reacted in a surprise, shocked way, when it came to Kathy Bingham finding out about what Kaden had said, she wasn't too pleased, and it was interpreted that it sounded like she was backtracking at the time, but supposedly the situation has changed drastically since. In terms of that footage, what we've just seen, whilst yes, Elisha is doing most of the talking about that tampering, Kathy just sat back listening in. You would think it would normally be the other way around. Kathy Bingham is the private investigator. You'd think she would be the one doing all that narration, the visual talking of what she has. A private investigator technically should have most of the intel compared to the person that's either reached out to the private investigator or needed a chat with them to some extent. One's going to know more than the other. But the way it is here, it's like the equivalent of me going into a hospital right now, grabbing the nearest doctor or nurse, laying them in bed, me getting a checkboard out and saying, right, let me check your blood levels, sugar levels, what's your brain neural pathway activity like? Have you broken any bones in the last couple of years? You know, let me check your pulse, let me check the sats, let me just inject you with some needles. It just wouldn't work quite like that, would it? It should be the other way around. So you could interpret it from that CCTV footage with Elisha appearing to know more than Kathy, and Kathy has no videos or hasn't shown them to Elisha, then how did Elisha get a hold of them then? Oh, because she was told by what Kaden had said in the past, in which Kaden had said at some point Kathy had paid him a visit and showed him the highway footage, which originated from, or possibly recorded by, one of the truck drivers. And whilst Kathy Bingham did make a reference to that in that footage, what we've just seen about, oh, there's some kind of truck or truck guy and can't quite tell what colour, it's dark, who's within the frame. What, as in a screenshot, a photo, a video? Elisha asked, does it have audio, sound? And Kathy says, no. Well, if it's a photo, obviously there's not going to be any audio. But you can have videos where there's no audio. I think that's been highlighted already, whether that be by Kaden or somebody else, that, oh yeah, there was footage, but there was no audio in regard to it. I do remember hearing that line. Elisha also mentioned to Kathy, is Kaden, is he within that? In regard to what Kathy Bingham had on her phone, and said, no, Kaden's not within it. And to be honest, if this was, which supposedly it isn't, but if it was to do with the tampering of the shorts, Noah's body and whatnot, well, you kind of expect Kaden to not be there because Kaden should be elsewhere. And if it's after 5:30, based off that original timeline, he should be back at the party house. And if that timeline's wrong, well, Kaden should still be at the party house if he didn't know about it until 6 in the morning onwards. So some little pointers there that need to be acknowledged. But in regard to, the CCTV footage, what we saw just there, it seemed like Kathy Bingham, whilst previously described as the one to have that material in the first place, and to show more of it to Kaden than compared to Elisha, in which Elisha had responded on Facebook at some point some months ago about not trusting Kathy Bingham. Kathy Bingham has gone behind our backs interviewing my son on 2 occasions without consent or acknowledgement, and as well that the footage that we were shown, or what I was shown by Kathy Bingham, that was at our residence at the patio area, the footage was only 10 seconds long. But what Kaden Pressy had described from his encounter a time beforehand was a longer length video. And then there's Kathy that's like, I didn't really show any videos. So what the hell's going on? It's a bit messy. It's as if, could you interpret it that Kaden and Elisha, or more so Elisha rather than Kaden, are trying to, paint Kathy Bingham in a negative light, throw shade elsewhere, throw people off the scent, cause misdirection, so people then start falsely or incorrectly criticising Kathy Bingham? I mean, there is a natural process to it all. You work with the evidence and material that you have at a point in time. You look into it, you critique, you question, and do what needs to be done. And whether it's correct or mistakes are made, more so if one is wrong, more so others are wrong that created it in the first place on purpose to confuse others. As long as it's cleared up in the future, that's what matters most, and maybe that's what will happen sooner than later. What I will do just now, briefly, is just to add on with that original footage of what we were showing in the past in regard to the same event, the same day, just a different portion of the clip from the CCTV footage. I'll play it once, and then I think there's like a zoomed in portion where you can see up close at the phone of a different photo. Because what we saw just before then, at least when Kathy Bingham turned the phone around to show to Elisha, it looked like a white screen. It looked very bright. Not too sure what that was about. But in regard to the other footage of what we've seen previously, it was more darker, black, and there was some like white outlines or shapes, which some people said, oh, that's Noah's body just there, or oh, that's a police guy walking back and forth. Who knows what that's about? But I'll just play it to you anyway, because it's a contrast to what we've just seen. And then I'll move on to what Kathy Bingham had said in a DM with someone in the past.
Well, that's looks like a fire department or law enforcement sometimes.
Yep, that's exactly what I was
That's
thinking.
exactly right.
Here we are with some of the screenshots. Take in mind for full context, I'm just working with what I've got, roughly speaking. As for dates, times and all of that, it might not be presented. I just want to be honest with you. I have done a video about this more in depth in the past, and I might have gone in further. I just wanted to use some rough little screenshots here, which may tie in line with kind of the general theme of what we're getting at. It does say Kathy, this is Kathy Bingham having a conversation with someone. I'm not too sure who that someone is, but Kathy is on the left-hand side of the screen in the greyed out boxes. And she says, well, to a point, I know he straight up lied about me and I don't know why. As in he, and believe this is to do with Kaden Pressy. I'm not, confident 100%. This could well be the fallout post-reaction of Kaden's leaked police interview, in which he made a reference to Kathy Bingham showing him the highway footage of tampering of Noah's black shorts. So of course, by saying and stating that to police, I guess triggering a reaction, a probe into Kathy Bingham doing a Facebook post at the time, shocked and confused and saying, well, it wasn't me, I didn't do that. Kind of puts the focus onto them, and that could be considered somewhat unfair if it's not true. Why would Kaden Pressy lie? Why would he straight up lie about Kathy Bingham? Is that to put the focus, blame the heat levels elsewhere so then they can lay low for a little bit? It makes you think. The person responds, why would Kaden lie about that? And Kathy says, I don't know, but I did talk to him, as in Kaden, 2XS, whatever that means, and his mom once. Now this is making me think, is this, well, when Kathy is referring to with Kaden's mom, Elisha, is that the patio CCTV? That little talk convo. As for Kaden, on 2 occasions, that appears to be true. It's consistent with what Elisha has said. Elisha had said that Kathy Bingham interviewed Kaden on 2 occasions in the past behind the parents' backs. And that's what annoyed Elisha and made Elisha not trust Kathy Bingham. Moving on. Can't talk right now at this moment, but I can message you. Kathy wanted to call this individual to explain it better. And Kathy says, no, about the video. I never had a video. As in, no video of the highway. No video or proof of tampering with evidence. And of course, at the time, when Kathy had said this, or other times she may have mentioned it, and yet Kaden is saying that there is video footage, that Kathy Bingham does have it, and that she showed it with me, it's weird. One person's telling the truth, the other one is lying. Which way round is it? And why does anyone need to lie? It's a bit odd. I'm 100% certain that the video is real. I'm also 100% certain that Noah was murdered. Now, take in mind, in terms of acknowledging the highway footage and tampering with black shorts, whilst Kaden Pressy told it to police, it was in private. Kaden, before or after, didn't mention it public. It just so happened that the interview was leaked public. So that's how we found out. Before Kaden even mentioned it, before we heard it from him, it was Michael Facecas that did a public post about it, going on about how, I think it was something to do with he had the footage or he had some material which he was handing over to his local FBI office, that he knew of 2 to 3 other people that had copies of the highway footage, and one individual, the original, has it and it would be needed for the original timestamp. I mean, where are we now with that? Does that ring a bell for anyone, if you can remember? no, about the video, I never had a video. Kaden Bingham says, I never showed Kaden Pressy anything. Never showed him anything whatsoever. Well, if that's the case, then why did Kaden Pressy say that you did? Why is Kaden supposedly lying? What do you gain from that, as in Kaden? And if that's the order, as in Kathy was around Kaden in the past before coming on down to talk with Elisha and her husband on the patio, then it makes you think, well, how come Elisha was doing all that talking about the footage? If beforehand, if Kaden was shown it by Kathy, but that never happened, what, Kaden made it up, then Kaden told that false story to Elisha, or they worked it out together, so that when Kathy actually came on down, then Elisha was telling Kathy about it. Yeah, this footage, the one what you have, the one what you showed my son. It's so weird and dysfunctional. In response, I'm just trying to understand why you would go to their house to show them a screenshot from a still frame of a video that's already public. Wait, what? What video is already public? Can this be elaborated? The video that Ace Lee was trying to enhance. Oh no. What's that about? Some people have said in the past Ace Lee was supposedly a dodgy person in the community. Kathy. So that did happen. I was starting to doubt it. Kathy responds, yes, it did happen. At least that is why he told me. And did he say he was injured or unconscious? I don't remember exactly. Would have to go back and look at my notes. Did he tell who hit Noah first? I don't know what that's about, to be honest. Some of it is a bit out of context, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, the video, I thought the video is the least of anyone's problems. Oh, okay. So there was just a little bit of material there to work with. I just want to add on some final thoughts. It is important to acknowledge that when it comes to what Elisha was shown in that CCTV footage amidst what Kathy Bingham had on a device, supposedly differs from what Kaden Pressy experienced. Even if Kathy Bingham says she doesn't have this or that, Kaden says she did. It's still a little bit odd and dodgy. I don't know if it's the case, but with that CCTV footage, that conversation with Kathy Bingham and Elisha, would it have gone any different if Kathy never had interviewed or spoken with Kaden beforehand? So Kaden didn't have any material to make up or exaggerate or anything like that. When it came to Partners in True Crime Part 2 interview, which was never publicly released, how damning was it that it had to be held back? Because at least from what Elisha had said at some point in the background in the past, that the footage can't be shown or it can't be talked about until the context is given, that what has been mentioned here differs to what was mentioned elsewhere, different things, different footage, different context. What people on the dark side are critiquing or going on about is completely different to what Elisha has in mind or what has been talked about on Partners in True Crime. And you could say it's a little bit cryptic, more so it's pretty much vague. Just pretty much spread it out, clear it, get it out of the way. But nope, that didn't happen, dragged out. But what I will say is, you could put the argument across and say that in Partners in True Crime Part 2 private interview, you want to call it like that, is that some of the stuff that was stated within that was quite eye-opening because it actually portrayed Kaden in a different way, such as in the Part 1 interview, Kaden had said to the host, Cindy and Rob, that he met the girls, met the guys, familiar faces, long-time friends in the past, hanging out in car parks and drinking. Whereas in contrast with the Part 2 interview, when Elisha was doing most of the talking, Kaden Pressy added in by saying, well, when it came to the girls specifically and the house, going to that party, the Labour Day one, the final party which Noah attended, for Kaden, it was the first time he was there, first time he met those girls. So how does that make sense? With the same host, on the same channel, with the same people about, 1 minute Kaden says, I know these girls from the past. Next thing, first time I've seen them before. First time going to this house. What? And then obviously the main one, more so in recent time, which I've picked up on. Back then when Elisha had said in the private interview, Parts in True Crime Part 2, that Kaden's phone was taken in by police. And recently, publicly, Kaden made the post saying police never took his phone. Police never wanted his phone. So if it was never taken in, it means it was never analysed. So when Elisha in that Part 2 interview stated as a fact that it was analysed and there is proof of data to show that Kaden's 515 timeline is correct, well, with what Kaden has said in recent time, it couldn't have been analysed because police didn't have it and didn't want it, so it wasn't. What the hell's going on there? Certain details like that, the reason why the interview wasn't released public because it made them look bad, but were partners in true crime aware of it themselves. You've got to be careful how you word stuff because some partners could get a little bit nasty. You never know. We'll see how things go there. But besides that, I think what we should do now, just for additional context and a different point of view, would be to acknowledge what people in the community have said. And I believe this is on the case discussion page, so that's kind of a refresher since we've not been there for a bit. Let's just head on over now and check the replies. 18 hours ago this was posted, and I just wanted to read the caption before the comments. I hope that the video doesn't play in the background because I think that's happened in the past and then the audio was on top of me speaking. I don't know why it does it, it's a bit dumb. But that aside, Michael says, is this the smoking gun that proves Kathy Bingham is lying? ? This looks like the same video as before, but it's actually an additional minute previous to the last video showing Kathy and Elisha in Kaden's porch. Kathy Bingham thought this entire thing has said she never showed. Oh, Kathy Bingham throughout this entire piece of footage has said she never showed a video. But what she showed was something else not related to the roadside video. Tell me why when Elisha brings this up, Kathy pulls out her phone searching for a video and shows it to her as if she has it and then begins to show it to her. So that's it, beginning to show it to her. Is what you're saying, Michael Face, Kaz, that the order of how I played my videos today, this particular one, and then that shorter clip where we looked at it zoomed in and enhanced, it was the correct order. Is it possible that Kathy did know, but at the same time was playing dumb to allow Elisha to elaborate and explain to see if what Kathy has links up with what Elisha says? But if that's still the case, we'd have to know where Elisha got her information from, what she witnessed, where and who, by and when, to be able to talk about it. You know, it's for the very first, let's just say, if it's for the very first time that you're talking with police, as an example, and the police are the ones that have the material, but they're not going to tell you. But they might, and they may react if you tell them first, because somehow you know it without them telling you. And that will raise a few eyebrows. They might explain further, expand, or they may just simply ask you, where did you get that from? Now, that would be in the situation with Kaden Pressy, because the way Kaden worded it in the private police interview led to the police guys reacting in a shock, surprise, and a little bit of a negative way, depending. Saying, are you sure? This is really serious. Are you really sure you saw that? Things like that. But the reaction from the police would then imply that they never had it themselves, or they weren't shown it, or it wasn't handed in to them. So then could that ring true back to Kathy saying, well, I didn't have the video. It's a very messy, weird situation, but at least from Elisha's point of view of what she talks about is likely influenced by what she heard from what Kaden had seen himself. But how true is it with what Kaden says? Do not play the video. I hope it's not playing in the background when I look at the comments. Tell me, to Tim, if nothing to show and you talk to Kathy, ask her to show it here in the Army page and Noah's Family's page. Brenda, has Elisha shared this particular CCTV footage in its entirety with Noah's family? I wonder. We got Jane. I'm confused. I thought all the hype was because Kathy had access to the supposed video. Why is Elisha explaining the contents too of a video that was supposedly shown to her by the individual she is explaining the video to? Well, the thing is, I don't think Elisha was originally shown what she's talking about. More so, Elisha was told by Kaden Pressy, in which Kaden was shown by the hands of Kathy Bingham what that video was about. That in the CCTV footage when Elisha's talking about it, if that's what then follows on with what Michael's getting at, that's when Kathy pulls out her phone or a phone, checks for the material, and then shows it to Elisha, and then they say, that's what I thought, a police guy in the footage, and we see movement. Well, then that would imply there is a video. But could it be a video of a different scene, a different situation, and it's not to do with the whole tampering? Okay, but it must be still relevant to the case for it to be shown. So it's still a video then, and it would still be somewhat important. So it depends which way you look at it. Cammy, I highly doubt any portion of this video will reveal any answers to the standing questions. Seems like another smokescreen that provides zero answers or further explanation. If it gets a bit dragged out, I'll just, brush over the comments, but you can always pause the video, acknowledge them, see them yourself. Michael, obviously a beginning, middle and end of the video. This is the part where Kathy shows the video, or at least for the first time to Elisha, right before Kaden and Scott got home. She stays for about 2 hours. Could imagine the amount of footage that's available. Okay. Denise, Scott was home at the time of this video from beginning to end. He was out front working on the boat during most of the conversation. He stepped in a couple of times. You can actually see his feet on the first ones that she sent in. My understanding, Kaden Pressy never did show up. I could be wrong on that. And Michael Facecast says, you are incorrect. That's okay. What? There's a lot of misunderstandings on the page, so I'm not surprised. Scott and Kaden arrived home together shortly after Kathy arrived. Is that so? Okay, but why are we only shown small pieces of the whole video? Why can't we see the entire conversation? Exactly. The whole beginning, middle and end, as you put it. I mean, some people may speak more as if they know more, but they only show so much. Show the whole amount, if it's possible. If there's no legal issues, if it doesn't harm the case, then it's like a no-brainer to release it. But then granted, I don't know if you could post 2 hours worth on Facebook. Maybe you can't. But on YouTube, you can definitely do it like that. Just as a heads up, Michael, I don't know all the answers. I'm sure there's a good reason. If you watch Court TV, I'm sure eventually it'll be shown there. What trials? Justin could easily ask Elisha or Kaden for the entire video. But is that a good idea? Because won't Justin just crop out some of it or something? Mike, laughing my ass off, oh boy. One thing I'd like to say is thank you for keeping this in the forefront, because keeping it front and centre is great to ensure it'll be addressed. What was Anthony's response to all this when you spoke with him? Surely you'd ask him, since you have such a good report, right? Deflection from Kaden in the chat talking about his Apple phone analysis. I guess he hasn't remembered what to say. No phone forensics done. I'm sure now family has lost confidence in the Pressy since they show proof to their friends, yet Noah's family sees nothing. When I speak to Anthony in the morning, I'll let him know all this evidence being let out in groups, whilst Elisha tells them to speak to their lawyer, the one they no longer have. I think I see fraud, obstruction and hindering. Sound about right? When you speak to Anthony, ask him why doesn't he give a press conference if nothing else to show they're still investigating. Ask him why he hasn't called the FBI in to help. Yeah, okay, it goes two ways. Let the FBI search it, since that's too freaking lazy. And Michael says to Mike, wow, you sound just like BBC. It's hilarious. You go do that. Okay, so we've got a bit of like toy pram fighting. Beth, I crashed my car, says, why not simply give the video to the family to say the least? It's obvious not a moving photo that Kathy claims it to be. Not a moving photo. It appears to be still. And yet the other clip, what we've seen in the past, shows movement, which would mean it's either a video, it's a GIF, an animated photo, which kind of originates from a video. Right, law enforcement doesn't, okay. Robin said the same thing. Pay attention. Police know all the phones. How about this? They're both liars. Kaden and Elisha. Is that what you mean? Or Elisha and whatever. Video never happened. Donna Bond's video information was given to police, but this video doesn't exist. Period. You're chatty with law enforcement. Right, Michael? That's what you said. Why haven't you brought this up when chatting with those police? Because I know you didn't. It doesn't exist. Quit lying about police. It's one thing lying about people that are close to the case. Right, so it seems like Michael Faye's Kaz is on side with Elisha and Kaden Pressy in regard to the highway footage existing, because at least publicly speaking, Michael Faye's Kaz was one of the originals to actually talk about it, and I've documented it on my channel as well, if you're familiar with. Brenda says, my opinion, this post is a perfect example of why Robin Smith in the live chat said she didn't understand why people are so against Zachary Wright, police guy, and Kathy Bingham, private investigator. I'm amazed that proof is right in front of us, yet some refuse to believe it. Who brought up the black shorts removal in his CCTV? Sounds to me like Kathy is there to speak with Kaden, who is not present. Tim, exactly. Noah's Aunt Robin had asked multiple times to lay off Kathy and Zach, says the family is behind Kathy and that they trust her. If Noah's aunt thought Kathy was lying about tampering video, she surely would not ask everyone to leave Kathy alone. It does appear like Kathy is trying to figure out what is being said and why. Maybe she's just trying to figure out why Elisha is asking if Kaden is in the video. Why would a mother ask that? Andrea Turpov says, yep, and hopefully it will work this. This is to do with, I guess, an older conversation. Pam Feldman Garrison's post, Nicole Brown to Robin. My issue with this is if his Kaden's phone analysis shows the 5:15 timeline, then how would anyone change anything, as that is what he has said all along? They have already been denying that timeline, so changing the story now would look very guilty. Robin Smith says in response, and I have discussed that discrepancy in great detail. We both are in contact with Ellie, and so I do not doubt what she was told, but I do find it curious. I know what I was told, and it was that he had passed. Oh. What, Noah had passed? What, as in a time given? What the hell's that about? I do wish that everyone would lay off Kathy Bingham, as she has worked very hard to gather information for my family. And let's also remember that I believe it's Tiffany, or more so, no, Epiphany, Tiffany in a Tiff Shepherd, the troublemaker in the past, that was the one that had a go at Kathy Bingham and said she's dodging all kinds. Of course, my videos as well, and what I've said, I've made observations about Kathy Bingham in a negative way. If it needs to be balanced with positives, then it can be when the time is right and when possible. Tim Daniel, thank you. And she said it again in a more recent live chat. Yes, correct. Robin came to a Warlike Raft chat and told us all to lay off Kathy and Zach. So just a little observation. Big shout out to Tim Daniel for, bringing it up that, but also giving the source of where it came from, or at least came back up in conversation. Because the difference with Tim Daniel that separates him from many of the people out there is obviously he's got better fashion trends and clothing, but that aside, and maybe a better beard. But when it comes to the likes of the travesty group and the third problematic wave out there, others out there have ended up getting screenshots from my stuff and ended up wording it as if it was their own, and it wasn't. So it's good that people do give references of where it comes from. Andrea, I'll find a screenshot. Robin Smith questioned people's treatment of Zach twice in the same live chat. I don't recall anyone answering her questions. Please correct me. Okay. Start this CCTV. Kathy is talking to Elisha about wanting someone, hard to make out who, to talk to her. Kathy mentioned something about having text, but would like to talk to him. Then elaborated on why she introduced herself and showed a badge. I remember the badge bit. Agree in my opinion. I don't think Robin would defend Kathy. Okay, fair enough. Oh no, what's this? Elisha enthusiastically telling Kathy about the video. Kathy's engaged, helping connect leads. One of the leads being the live photo that she has acquired. A live photo, which is a thing, but I think more so on Apple. photo, but with a bit of like video footage in a sense. When Elisha talks about the shorts, you see slight confusion on Kathy's face. Seems like new information to Kathy, and she thought she could help round the lead out by showing the live photo. Elisha says, "Can you see my kid?" What? Why would we be able to see Kaden during the video with the shorts removal when Kaden said he had left by then? Yeah. So I don't know why Elisha would be saying that. Checked over stuff. I don't see how this is smoking gun in any way. In fact, the audio helps Kathy's case more so. If there was shorts being pulled off, you would expect to hear, "Yes, there is a video shorts being removed," not a look of confusion. And then you'd expect a reaction to it like, "Holy shit, did I just see a cop pull pants off a dead body? What in the world?" Yeah, a bit more of a reaction there, and yet there wasn't. Further, in the second Partners in True Crime episode where Elisha told Cindy and Rob she did not want them to air, Elisha mentions a blurry video where she couldn't see much and doesn't talk about what you'd think would be the most important topic to discuss. So no tampering. I don't understand how they're seeing this as evidence. It's evidence Kathy is telling the truth. Exactly, it helps Kathy more. I've spoken with Kathy about this multiple times. She was so upset about Kaden Pressy lying to police. She had troopers over to her home the very next day. An interview came out to show what she had on her phone. Troopers were completely satisfied. There was no video. As expected, to this day, she's still upset and can't understand why Kaden lied about seeing a video. It is a bit weird. Michael, didn't take long for all the crazies to come out. Lol, do you guys get like a page from some central office? Oh no. Well, Tim, you're absolutely correct. There would have been a clear audible reaction, even you expecting it. Yeah. So Michael, okay. Why post in discussion group if you call anyone who disagrees crazy? I mean, it's coming across as like the army page for a short period of time when that was going on. Was it a question? Okay, crazy thinking, please pull the shorts off now would give to Noah's brother. Destroy shorts, made him go away. My baffles. Just makes logical sense. I've asked 100 times what exactly was the tampering video. They have no answers. What time exactly? It fits. I thought part of discussion was implying what happened, and so on and so on. You misplaced your maturity today or something. I thought one didn't have maturity in the first place. Just like I don't look for Kaden Pressy to post his phone analysis. Kaden gave his word a couple of days ago in Warlike Raf's chat, true, that he'd share his Apple data in a few days, and when I did press him on what he said, he keeps his word. I don't expect to see that either, but it sure would be nice to see what time his mom called him to. Was it 2:43, like she said, or was it 3:15? Well, I don't know, Tim Daniel, if you've seen my video or not, but from the looks of it, there appears to be hard evidence which at least supports that at 2:42 and 53 seconds, or whatever you call it in time, in the morning of Monday at 2:42 is when Elisha called Kaden about Georgia. Because there is hard evidence of the call logs. I've documented it on my channel in my last video or the video before that. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, Tim. It's quite important. But in regard to when Kaden went back to sleep, who knows? Anyway, his phone data should show what time the call was, and hopefully it will show where he was at 5:21. Not sure why all the secretive behaviour, and then lying about having his phone analysed only to find out he's now waiting to get back from an Apple history report. And yet, despite that supposed promise, now Kaden has gone missing in action. And from how it's been worded by people in the community, that Kaden had gone missing in action, left the pages and post after this post by Michael Fazekaz. So I don't know what side Michael Fazekaz is on. Michael Fazekaz possibly more so on the Kaden Pressy more so and Elisha Lee side, but what Michael Fazekaz has indirectly done is possibly to small extent, more so because of what others have said and how you can notice discrepancies, that it might have actually pushed Kaden Pressy away. Possibly. Okay. Did we see that one? I think so. Michael Fazekaz clipped. Okay, so now the video is edited, laughing and triggered. Clipped is a bad thing. Well, Michael Facecaz, we know all about clipping, because from the looks of it, Michael Facecaz, you were the one that clipped one of my videos on YouTube 2 weeks ago, and you called it Warlike Choden. What was that supposed to mean? 15 seconds long from my video. Kind of funny how Michael Facecaz may throw toys out of pram and say about, oh, people are calling this video, the CCTV footage, clipped and edited to try and force a certain agenda. How dare people do that? Oh, but by the way, I'll clip one of Warlike Ref's videos and title it in a means of, confusion and lacking context in a somewhat childish way. Kind of signifying the same maturity and levels as of a travesty out there when it comes to false claims and obsessions with George Choden and weird and wild links being applied to me. Yeah, I don't think one is in a position to be talking there. And to be honest, furthermore, when I think about it, people from the Army page and case discussion page, no one in particular, because, we don't want to start World War III, but handfuls of people did react strongly to the Mikey Lair Snapchat post that I did at the time, and anything before that, or Logan Jernigan, where people were jumping on in saying, oh, it's been edited, it's been altered with Warlike Ref, you need to know where you get your information from, you need to make sure it's vetted, you need to do this and that, it's false, these people mess up, it's been cut, it's been adjusted, it's been manipulated, you can do that on Snapchat, etc, etc, etc. Oh, so it's okay from one side or the light side to complain when there's hard evidence presented, but then another time round when they've got their own bits of material and if anyone does question it, now they get triggered, yet they were the ones that got triggered in the first place. Now they're getting triggered for something else on the receiving end, just not in a position to be talking. And then in between, doing it to me as well, clipping. Okay, so we've got Michael Clipcaz. There we go, that's a new name. Michael Clipcaz. Yeah, man. So back to this, Tim mentions about, well, yeah, it's clipped, it's been cut down, cut short, incomplete. That's true. It has been clipped. That's the whole thing of clipping, just like what Michael did to my YouTube video. So Michael Facecaz is in absolutely no position to be talking. You do know how video footage works, Michael. You got a 2-hour long video. You've presented a 2-minute, 11-second video or so. Well, where's the other missing hours at? It's because it's been cut down. Not to say by Michael exactly. Maybe it's by somebody else. Whoever it was passed on to, So, it's weird. Michael appears to be responding back to Tim, but failing to tag him or add into the threads. I don't know what Michael's doing there. Seems pretty obvious the video was clipped right where it was for a reason to make this appear more than it is. Please share more of the video. For more context, because, we've seen that pattern and trend in the past, haven't we? Elisha specifically asked if there is a video shorts being removed, and Kathy does not say yes. Police did not remove no shorts. That is really quite an absurd theory. And then what? They gave the shorts to Dalen. Kaden's timeline has long been disproven, and that was the main reason for any kind of tampering theory, with the timeline being at 6:05 now, as Jack originally stated. Okay, I get that, what Tim's getting at, that, with the 5:15 being disproven or, being countered with additional points or evidence, that it pushes it onwards to 6 in the morning onwards. There's more witnesses present then there's more official police present then. So there's less likely chances that certain dodgy things could happen, maybe. What's this? Tampering short one of Tyler being involved in some cover-up, which I do not believe. Are we going back to the whole tampering thing? There was no video of police officer and a firefighter holding up a £175 Noah pulling shorts off. It does not exist. There would be arrest. Kathy is not lying. We've been over this many times. There's literally no time in the timeline for anyone to film a tampering video. And that's in regard to from 5:30 to 5:43. Because at least when Tyler H and Tyler Hardy came on down, they said no one else was about. They thought that they were first on scene. So we're taking in mind. Michael Facecaz says, are you kidding? Who's kidding? About what, though? Not kidding. Kathy doesn't just sit directly down and start showing her anything unless you've seen something different than everybody else. Elisha brings the subject up about the video then proceeds to say after what it's when they stage the scene, which is all bogus. Always the same group of deniers. Wait, so Michael Facecast shows a portion of the video clip which only shows limited context, and then other people add that reasoning ability in, and then Michael gets triggered by that. Is that how it is? Same group of rumour pushers. So basically the people from the light side are the ones pushing certain rumours in unnecessary ways. That's unfortunate. Notice how I say certain, not all. Kathy was told about video from Elisha Pressy, that's all. There's nothing to focus. So as we're seeing, Kathy never mentions a video. She's talking about text at the very beginning. A text or text. I don't understand. But, you know, she does have maybe a photo or a moving photo at least, which is mentioned with the police, a police person. I showed that little clip. Of course, if the whole thing can be shown, I would say a lot. The only reason the live photo was shown was in hopes they could connect some dots, but alas, dots were not connected and still are. Okay. Andrea, Kathy doesn't mention a video. Elisha is the one mentioning. Yeah. Oh, we got Michelle. I don't hear Kathy saying the video doesn't exist. Elisha mentioned Kathy immediately goes in her phone and then showed something. So there's some kind of reaction to it in some way. Says, no, at one point Kathy proceeds to later show her what she does have, which looks to be a live picture, hence no audio. Makes sense? And why it's super quick. And it being super quick, we've heard Elisha make the reference to that by saying it was only 10 seconds long, which is probably true in a way. But what Kaden Pressy describes and what Kaden Pressy has been shown by Kathy Bingham was something longer and more important. But Kathy is saying she never showed any videos to Kaden. So why would Kaden make it up? Kaden, what, makes it up? Elisha is told that by Kaden, then Elisha goes along with it. Believes in it. Elisha is the one asking if there is audio. Why would Kathy be asking herself a question? The things you come up with so ridiculous. You think because Elisha asked a question that means it was a photo? Well, I mean, if you're asking if there is audio, you'd assume that you think it's a video. If there is no audio, there are chances that it could still be a video. If it's a photo, obviously it will have no audio. If it's a live photo or a GIF, then it's not going to have any audio. But if it's like an edited GIF with audio on top of it through an editing software, then it becomes a video. Like an actual video. She also asked if Kaden is in the video, and Kathy responded, no, but there's this other guy, I think like a truck guy or something. What's that all about? Two different things though. Kathy has obviously shown her what she has on. She never mentions shorts. Patio. And now she suddenly remembers the live photo weeks later. Convenient first. Says it was, I never went to their house. Then it became, okay, I went, but I didn't show them anything. Then it was, well, I showed a photo, but definitely not a live one. Miraculously, after a little brainstorming session with someone else, the live photo epiphany magically appears. What a plot twist. Let's not ignore the moment Elisha brings up the video. Kathy immediately goes, yeah, and starts awkwardly digging through the phone like she's trying to defuse a bomb. Oh God, we got bomb defusing by Michael Black Belt Facecast. I mean, I know we've got a few special folks in the room. Oh, we've got a few special folks in the room. Special people. Special. Isn't that a line that Stevie Howard would say in the past? Oh no, Michael Facecast is transitioning into Stevie Howard. Oh no, better not say that, because some people probably believe it to be true. I'll probably say, where's the wig next? I wouldn't expect her to tell a random case info. You should see our chat thread. Keep secrets is not her speciality. Right, is that it of that thread? Appears to be, and that's it in total. Last but not least, what I just wanted to add in recent time of Thursday at 6:53 p.m, which could well be last week, a week before. It's pretty recent. Elisha was having a conversation with another individual, and Elisha says, these people are horrible. In response, the other one says, there were all sorts of guesses why Kaden is no longer in groups on Facebook. He left any? And then there was a link there. And then Elisha responds, I'm not in that group, so I can't read anything. And then in response, they say, it's the video of you and Kathy Bingham at your house, a longer video. The CCTV footage, what we've seen today and analysed. And Elisha responds, yes, I have several videos of Kathy at my house that day. I'm sure you do. I just like to make sure you know what's being said. Okay? So that's where it's there. Elisha saying that these people are horrible. I wonder who that is exactly. If people are so horrible, is that why Kaden has moved on, left Facebook pages? Not much context given. Questions asked, possibilities asked by this other individual. Elisha kind of blanks over it and more so focused on referring to the Kathy Bingham situation. So certain questions or points aren't acknowledged or answered. It might be because they know the answer, they just don't want to reveal it or explain it much. I feel that with the timing of everything, paired with Kaden leaving Facebook pages, I mean, as for his profile on Facebook, I guess it's still there, but in terms of being members on pages and groups, just no longer. Tying it in with the time of, the Apple data, making a promise there. Did the pressure get too much? And it's like, well, I need to take a step back. I need to get on with work, busy with that, distract myself. I don't like the resistance. I don't like the pressing, not pressy, but pressing online from here and there. But then again, Kaden has probably experienced just as much bad, supposedly, in his mind, what others have made reference to in the past, but still stuck around. So what really is the turning point now to actually step back now when Kaden Pressy was quite passionate, was quite, strong in pushing on and keeping on going. I think there might have been a quote somewhere mentioned by Kaden in one of the interviews that he would go all the way, even if it meant bad things happening to him, being in danger or going down. But if it meant revealing the truth and solving the case, he would do that for his friend Noah. But now, just simply taking a step back, to some extent on the surface level, online at least, something bad must have happened, or some complications to cause one to actually step back when they haven't done so before, to the same extent. Have been times in the past where Kaden's profile may have gone private, or he's uploaded some photos to his Facebook account and then they were deleted afterwards or hidden. Yeah, I've noticed that. Is that in correlation to the case? Maybe not. But, little adjustments, little changes, behaviour, patterns and whatnot, you look at it, social media, platforms, accounts, it definitely applies to the Kenny Veach case, kind of applies to the Dylan Rouse case at one point. Very interesting what's going on in the background. But, you just think of the coincidental timing of the Apple data, promises being made, to now Michael Fay's cast post and people highlighting more so Kathy in a more positive light and Kaden or Elisha or both in a more negative light. Things backfired as it led to the Pressys being pushed away, pressing the Pressys. I don't know. You can let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. I said, if you want to check my previous videos out for additional context and further research, playlist is up there. If you want to support the channel, PayPal link is down below. If you want to give the video a thumbs up and hit the like button so then more people get to see it, hopefully that'll work out and we'll just see what people are saying, what happens next. But for now, my name's Wally Raff. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you watching. Goodbye. Good night.